Hi everyone! For today's video I have prepared a little coloring tutorial in which I will be using alcohol markers and colored pencils for coloring. No really fancy techniques, just a couple of tips on how I tend to color my images. The stamp set that I'm going to use is called Crazy Birds from Back to Nature collection, and since I was planning to color with alcohol markers, I need a special paper. This one is Spectrum Noir Premium Marker Pad, and of course a special type of ink. My to-go ink for coloring with alcohol markers is Memento, which is dye ink. Now I have two types of alcohol markers. These one in my hands are Spectrum Noir 3 blend markers, but I also have some Copics as well. When it comes to coloring mediums, I always like to swatch them, and I have a little folder where I keep all the swatches. I will show you right now. Here you can see some sprays, inks, also art by Marlene acrylic paints that you can see here. But of course swatches for alcohol markers, which helps me in choosing my color schemes. Here you can see the Spectrum Noir 3 blend markers. What is good about these markers, I think, is that they are very beginner friendly, as they contain 3 different shades in one pen. As you can see, they have light, medium and darkest tone. So it really helps you if you are confused about which colors you should blend together. Now ideally when coloring you should think about your light source, but to be honest I rarely do that. I pick an area where a highlight should be and kinda try to stick to it for the entire image, at least to be consistent for one single image. Anyway, as you can see, I first marked down where I thought the shadows should be, or the darkest color, and then picking brighter shades, building towards the middle where I expected the highlight to be. Usually on a smaller images like this one, I mix maximum 3 shades, but this time I introduced even the 4th one, the brightest one. Or you can leave a whole little area full white if you want, that's fine too. Here, before marking my darkest areas, shadow areas, I marked the brightest area. And when coloring creatures or people, I like to leave the area around the eye brighter, because I think it helps the eye kind of pop in the viewer's perspective. And of course I repeat the whole process for every color that I bring to my image. As I mentioned at the start, for this video I will use 2 coloring mediums, alcohol markers and colored pencils. But I am also working on a more in-depth coloring video, in which I will show you even more coloring mediums and options which you can use for your images. Anyway, that video is coming really soon, so stay tuned and subscribe to my channel. Now, as I said, I like to use Memento ink when I plan to color my images with alcohol markers. But the black color of it is not the most intense one. So very often after finishing the coloring process, I like to use a Pigma Micron pen to go a bit over the lines of the stamped image, as I really think it improves the overall look of the image. It adds a bit of a shadow effect, and it makes even the color somehow pop more. But honestly, I think sometimes I'm just too much of a perfectionist, and this step is really just optional. Now another optional step is to add some highlights using a gel roll pen. I like to use this technique when I have these more cartoonish kind of images. And you can do this technique using white acrylic pen or just white colored pencil, whatever you have in your stash. And since this was more of a coloring tutorial video, for background I went really easy using Collage paper from Out of This World collection. one of the quotes from the Sticking Quotes booklet, and a bit of special effect paint in gold color for a little bit of shine. And that's about it for this ATC, really simple and easy layout using collage papers. Now on to the second ATC. This time for stamping I used the Canson mixed media paper, little jar stamp set from Back to Nature collection, and VersaFine ink in Onyx black. This time for coloring my image I will use Prisma Premier colored pencils. Here of course you can see my color swatch, which I use for figuring out color combos. And kind of the technique is same for me. I start by marking out the darkest areas and then slowly building toward the brightest areas. And I think actually the trickiest part is deciding where the dark and bright areas should be and then blending in. Now for blending in colored pencils there are multiple techniques. You can always use the brightest shade to blend in the colors, blending pencil, or odorless mineral spirits and a blending stump, or even a brush. Here I will show you two of those techniques, but once again I am telling you I will make another more in-depth video where I will talk a bit more about some details and why I prefer one technique over the other. Now here the first method is using blending pencil, and I just go over the various shades and make them all melt in together. It's actually really easy and straightforward method. Oh, and by the way, while coloring this image, I just wanted to remind you of the new beautiful release that is coming really soon. And in this release, Marlene once again brings collage papers, which are really amazing for little projects like these two that I'm doing today, when sometimes you are more in mood for coloring or making composition instead of focusing on background, as they can create instant gorgeous backgrounds without too much effort. Okay, now time for the second technique for blending, using odorless mineral spirit and a paper stump. It is very easy, and you just dip your paper stump into odorless mineral spirit and go over the colors, and it really blends them beautifully. And what's even better, you can, if necessary, layer more colors on top. Now, when coloring with colored pencils, it can happen that the lines of your stamped image get a bit dulled. So what I tend to do is take a colored pencil in black color and go over some of the lines. Once again, I really think it helps the image pop more, the colors to emphasize, give more shadows, and in general look of the image. Now, I'm really sorry, but here I had a little technical issue. My camera wasn't recording and I didn't notice it in time, but when my image was done, I started working on a background. Once again, I took the easy way out and used Art by Marlene paper for the background. But this time I did the slight modifications. As you can see, I stamped some grasses on the ground and these fireflies. Very soon I will show you the two exact stamp sets which I used for stamping these elements. But at this point, I was using my Posca pen to fast color my fireflies and add a bit of splatter. Now here are the stamps which I have used. Here is the one which I used for grasses. It is called Autumn Flourish from the Mixed Up collection. And for the fireflies, the stamp set called Dream Girls from Out of This World collection. Now of course I added some sticky quotes, glitter paint in gold color for the wings, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I also hope to see you soon. Bye!